G'day guys, so today I'm going to do something a little bit different to what I usually do. I'm going to react to the Super Rugby Grand Final, which happened just this last weekend. So the Super Rugby Grand Final are the best teams in Australia, rugby teams in Australia, battling it out to see who the best in Australia is. And my team was actually in the Grand Final. So my team's the Queensland Reds, which is a state in Australia, and they're battling it out between the ACT Brumbies, which is the Australian Capital Territory. So it's sort of like a state, but it's a territory. And yeah, they're the two best teams, and I've got the highlights here. I'm also going to use this video as a way to sort of just talk about the rules of rugby. There are a lot of videos online on YouTube that explain the rules in a way that don't actually capture the essence of what's happening. So they might talk about passing the ball backwards, how many players there are in a field, how big the field is. Like, those sorts of things aren't really what makes rugby a great sport. It's sort of like NFL. When I learn about the positions and the rules, doesn't really capture the complexity of the sport. So I'm hoping that as I watch this, I'm going to take some time at the start just to explain what's going on for those of you that are interested in learning a bit more about the game. So yeah, let's get this started. The Reds versus the Brumbies in the Australian Super Rugby Grand Final.
Good field position for
So yeah, this team here, they're the Reds, they're my team, and this white team is the ACT Brumbies.
them to launch inside this first minute of play. Salakai Lotto hammering into
Okay,
Scott.
so I would like to explain, I think this is a good time to start explaining it. So you probably know the rules. You have to pass the ball backwards, which has been done here.
This first minute of play.
Now this is sort of the essence of rugby. So every time the ball carrier gets tackled and they go to the ground, okay, they have about 1 to 2 seconds to place the ball back for their team, and then they must let go of the ball on the ground. Okay, so if they don't do that, it's not allowed. So the referee's watching, and he's judging. Okay, it's been 1 to 2 seconds. He needs to place the ball back. Now, as you can see, the player with the ball that's been tackled is here, and you have the person that tackled him actually in front, sort of on the side, the red side, and he right now, his role, he has to try and get out of the way so the ball carrier can place the ball back. So this guy's job right now is he needs to get out of there to allow the ball to be placed back. And right now he's not doing that. So you can see he's sort of lying there. He's not rolling. He's not making a big effort. So it's likely that this player here is going to get penalized. Like, he's still just there hanging around, blocking this red player's ability to place the ball back for his team. Now, the question is, why would this white player do that? Why isn't he getting out of the way? And there's like 3 main reasons, I'd say. Maybe there's more, but I can just think of 3 at the moment. So the first is he's not very athletic, so he might actually just not have the agility to move and get out of the way. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is he might be doing it on purpose. And the reason he'd be doing this on purpose is because it slows down the game. And because rugby's a continuous game, you sort of don't get a pause to set your defense again. So this white team, every time someone gets tackled, they have to realign their defense and make sure everyone's defending well and understands who they're defending against. Okay, that happens every single time. So if the red team can speed up this ability to place the ball back and pass it and get it out of there and keep playing with it, the white team's defense is going to become disorganized. So this player might be lying on the ground, sort of trying to get in the way to slow down the ball so his team, the white team, can get their defense organized before the next line of attack. And actually, it's a skill in rugby to be able to slow down the game just enough that you don't break the rules, but just enough that it allows your team to set their defensive line. The third reason he might be doing this is because he just doesn't even know what he's doing. Like, he's not aware of where he is on the ground and where the red player is, which is very unlikely because he's a professional player. The most likely reason he's there right now, not making a big effort to move, is because he's purposely trying to slow down the game. And I'm sure, so you can see it's just slowing it down. This guy has to reach in, try and grab it, and now the ref's put out his hand because he's seen it, and he's like, what are you doing in there, mate? Like, you can't be doing that. You need to make more of an effort to get out of there, to keep this game flowing. I know what you're up to. You're trying to slow down the play. Okay, so that's what's happened here. This guy's aware of it, and he's seen it, and he's given a penalty to the red team. I just want to say one more thing about this player. So the best players in the world slow down the ball and don't get penalised. One of the best players in the world, Richie McCaw, he was the New Zealand captain, arguably the best player in the world to have ever lived. He was incredibly good at just being on the edge of every rule. So a lot of people call him a cheater for this, but really he's just very smart. He can psychologically understand the ref and just how much he can push it, how much he can lie over the ball, how much he can slow it down without it being detrimental to his team by getting their penalty. So yeah, I just explained quite a lot in just this short few seconds, but this happens over and over. This is pretty much the basis of the game. So you can see that he's given the penalty, and you can see his little hand movement actually. The hand movement is for not rolling away, and he does a rolling sign. He sort of goes like this. That means you haven't rolled away. Yeah, you got to roll. So now, because of that, we get a shot at goal because they broke the rules. So every time a team breaks the rules, the other team gets to decide whether they want to kick through the post or they can do some other things, like just run with it straight away. But yeah, so you'll see this happening over and over again. Oh, that's an incredible. So here, right here, you've got another one of those breakdowns. So what's happened is someone's been tackled, they've placed the ball back for White, the red player's rolled away, and play continues. White picks it up, and they're passing it. And you can see here, actually, so this guy, number 10, Lelicio, I think his name is. So number 10's sort of like the quarterback in NFL. So they're there to read the play, call the shots. So that's sort of their role. And you can see here, he's seen something and he's called something because you've got this guy following him around the side here. This number 2, so number 2s are stocky, strong, with good, generally have really good hands and feet, so they can pass really well. Sometimes they can kick quite well. He's a stocky guy. So you can see here, this number 9, this number 2 is running onto it. And basically, what's happening here is number 10, or this team, this white team's basically just trying to create gaps in space. I guess that's the same with NFL. So this number 2, he's running up as if he's going to get it. Because number 2 is quite a big, strong guy, these 3 players are really aware that they're going to have to bring him down. So they've lined up against this guy. And you can see him there. So they're really marking this guy, but the ball actually goes behind him to this number 10. Number 10s are the playmakers, or at least usually the major playmaker in the team. And he's really intelligently just using his eyesight, really. He's made this guy commit to him just enough. Not necessarily completely, but just enough that he drips off this number 11 player. And he's really done that with his eyes and his angle that he's run. Like, this guy didn't need to mark him. He could have marked this guy out here. But just the speed he's coming at, he's looking at him. He'll be looking out of the corner of his eye at this guy as well for the pass. But he's successfully made this guy commit, which opens up this gap here. Because we can't see it in frame, but there'll be another player out here which this guy is defending against. So this guy's drawn him in. This probably wasn't even necessary because you've got these 3 players now drifting off number 2 to cover him. But yeah, he's successfully tricked this guy basically, and that's opened up that gap. Now again, a tackle. You've got the tackler here. The tackler gets out of the way. So he's out of the way. He lets the guy place the ball back, and play starts again. Boom. Again. So the last sort of more complicated rule about rugby. So this is called the breakdown when someone gets tackled. And so you have that little competition on the ground. The guy trying to place the ball back. The tackler trying to get in the way to slow it down for his team. So that's a little battle happening on the ground. But also above, you've got players competing. So if once someone gets tackled, the other team can drive over the top and win the ball. So if this number 7 drove this number 2 back, so the ball was on his behind his feet, you can imagine number 7 driving through, so his feet are here and the ball's behind them, then red gets the ball. So you've got this competition on the ground between the tackler and the tacklee, where the tackler's trying to slow it down, the tacklee's trying to place the ball back, and then you've got a competition above them as well of the teams trying to push each other off the ball. If this team pushes him off, red gets the ball. If white pushes him off, it's play on. So that's what's happening every time someone gets tackled. There's this little mini competition within the game. So right now, number 2's beaten that guy. He's pushed him back. He competed for the ball, but number 2 pushed him off. And this guy's now protecting the ball from any other people that are going to try and push over. So he's acting as a protector there, which allows this guy to play the ball. So again, so number 1's nowhere near the ball. He doesn't really need to roll away. There's a competition happening over the ball, and number 3 did enough. He did enough for this guy to play the ball. Really good. So here's number 12. And here's number 10 again. So number 10's just reading the defense. You can see how he's like really intelligent at finding gaps, and just, which he does really well. Look at this. Yeah, the decoy play. Is it this guy? Oh no, the next play. So you can see it's actually quite interesting. I think this number 15, he's obviously pretty intelligent at reading the play as well, because they're acting in tandem here. Because when you look at it, if it was me, if I was number 15 and I saw this on this guy and I saw this, you're thinking the space is here, right? That's where you're going to run. This guy's going to run here, maybe get tackled by these guys that are coming across, so you want to be on his outside. But actually, he reads it really intelligently, and he comes on the inside, and he saw space or he predicted the play that I could never predict. It's really intelligent by Tom Banks.
The timing, absolutely exquisite. Several of those phases of play there.
Yeah.
Might have been able to get there. I think Tom Banks thought he was about to drive him over. Ended up getting the ball and the plum.
Okay, so a lot's happened. We're down. The Reds are down the Brumbies, near the Brumbies try line now. So boom, you have a collision. You have this competition of who can push. Reds have dominated. They've pushed them off the ball, and it's play on. Now this is interesting because number 2 here. So number 2, again, we saw the white number 2 before. So they're stocky, they're big, they're strong. They're usually quite explosive, but not that fast. They're usually strength players, and they're usually not, because of that, they're not familiar with reading defensive lines and manipulating them. But if this guy had wrapped around at this point, if he'd just been running around, he could have got that ball from number 4 and just run into this corner. Look at all that space there. But because he's a number 2, you sort of don't expect him to do that. It's sort of like an offensive lineman understanding how a wide receiver runs a route. Like, I'm sure they have some understanding, but you wouldn't really, they don't know all the details. So that's why number 2 here wasn't able to sort of do the ideal thing. But the good news is he's there to win this collision. See, so he's there protecting these guys from pushing red off the ball, which allows for a quick play. Again, there's lots to explain here, but they've got over the line. In rugby, you have to put the ball on the line, over the line with force. So this number 1, he's over the line. All he needs to do now is put the ball down on the ground. And you can see this guy, number 9, the halfback, he's doing his best to just lie on the ground so he has nowhere to place it. And he's doing a good job. He hasn't got the ball down yet. The ball might be down there. Nope, see, it looks like it's on number 9's shoe. So number 9's doing an excellent job, like really, really good to stop this. And I'm not sure if he got it down or not. So did he get this ball on the ground is the question, and they're fighting for it. Looks like it's on the boot there. Like number 9 does such a good job to get in underneath. But it looks like it's on the ground there, but you can't just do this you only have like sort of one chance to play the ball. Like, you know, when you get tackled, you have 1 to 2 seconds to put the ball back. It's sort of the same when you're scoring a try. If you're over the line, you have about 1 to 2, and you've been tackled, it's about 1 to 2 seconds to put the ball down and score it. So the ref's saying he didn't score, he took too long, which is called being held up. But here they're saying that the white team wasn't in an onside position during that play, which I can explain later. So the Reds are going to get the ball again. Number 6 didn't get himself in the correct position. And the positions that they need to get in are really simple. So again, because they did the wrong thing, the Reds get to kick for points as a penalty. And this guy O'Connor, I actually played against him in high school, and by far the best player I ever played against. I think he was in the Wallabies when the national team, the Australian national team, when he was like 19 years old, which is the second youngest ever. So he's like just a freak.
Free trial running. White deep with the restart.
So he's been tackled. Now this is interesting because remember I was telling you that people can compete over the ball. So when someone's tackled on the ground, players can compete over the ball to push them back. Well, if there's no other players there, this person has no person to push against. So instead, he can just grab the ball. If there's no one there yet, if someone's been tackled and the other team's not there yet to compete against, you're allowed to grab the ball with your hands, which is what he's doing now. He's on the ball. He's trying to grab it with his hands. Now, these players have got there a bit late, so they're trying to push him back, but he's allowed to keep trying to play it with his hands. And the player on the ground, he has 1 to 2 seconds to place the ball back and let go of it, okay? The fact that this guy is grabbing it with his hands means that the player on the ground probably doesn't want to just let go of the ball like he's meant to. He probably won't put it back and place it, because if he does, this white player is just going to scoop it up. So 14's likely, you can see him there, he didn't place the ball back. So the ref's going to say, sorry, you didn't do the right thing there. Basically, this white number 8 forced him to hold on to it because he didn't want to let the number 8 take it from him. And by forcing him to hold on to it, it means he hasn't done the right thing by letting go of the ball on the ground. So he's going to get a penalty, which is what this meant. And White's going to get a kick for that. So that's the thing. Like when you get tackled, if the defense is right there on the ball, it's likely you're going to have to break the rule, because if you do what you're meant to do and place the ball back and let go of it, that defending team's just going to pick it up and run. So you're going to hold on to it, and because you're holding on to it, you're going to get penalised by the ref, and the other team's going to get 3 points, which is exactly what happened. But 3 points is better than them picking it up and scoring a touchdown or a try, whatever you want to call it.
It's 10-6. A rare visit to this part of the field tonight for Queensland.
So the Brumbies are winning 13-6. This is just a thing that happens every so often when the ball goes out of touch. So this guy Pataya, with the ball, he's an absolute freak in attack and defence. And this number 15 is a really smart player by the Brumbies, and he's got a lot of speed too, but he doesn't have the athleticism of Pataya. And it's an incredible effort, like insane effort. He got that ball meters from the try line, and he just... Where did he get it? Yeah, so it's like 8-7 meters away, and number 15's on him. He's got cover defense coming across, and he does a little goose step. This bit, boom, accelerates, puts on the palm, and then it's incredible. Look at this. Man, that foot looks like it shouldn't bend that way, Oh, Jesus. But this guy's tough and so athletic. But you can see there, he's out before the ball touches the ground. So it's not going to be a try. It's not going to be a touchdown. He also got a knee in the face there at the end. Did you see that? Look at this guy coming across and just gets him, oh God, right in the head.
The assistant referee on the far side, he's in touch before he grounds the ball.
Alright, so this happens every time the ball's dropped forward. Their two teams do one of these, and there's 8 players pushing against 8 other players. And the good thing about this is it keeps all the strong big guys in one area and allows the more agile, nimble, fast guys to just do their thing with a lot of space, which you'll see here. So these are all pretty fast, nimble guys here, and all the big, strong, slower guys are in here. They're all sort of contained, so there's just a lot of space for these fast guys to work with. So that's why these scrums, that's what they're called when you've got 8 players, can be like an exciting thing. It's a big hit. So this guy, he's decided there's no one really there competing against me, so I'm just going to pick that ball up, which he does. But this guy says someone's done something wrong. I wonder what it was. See, he's saying, you guys have done something wrong. I think number 1 pinned someone down, it sounds like. Or maybe it was the tackle was illegal. No. I really have no idea. I have no idea what happened then. But they did something wrong. Care about, but as you become a fan, it becomes really exciting knowing everything that's happening at each breakdown. So we've got James O'Connor beating a few players. Okay, so this guy's tackled him. This guy's, I guess he's deciding there's no one here I'm in to compete against, so I can just reach in and grab that ball up, which he tries to do. But James intelligently puts the ball places the ball back but between his legs, which makes it quite hard for this white player to grab it. And he would have done that on purpose for this reason. And it's legal to place it between your legs. It's a secure way of placing the ball back, more secure. And you can see that guy who's trying to get it. Now the cavalry's arrived and they're competing over the top. and this guy, he sort of won it, to be honest.
The Brumbies get in over the top. Was that?
It's tough. I feel bad for him because he did all the right things. He won the ball. But then he got sort of pushed over. So he sort of needed 1 to 2 seconds to push the ball back and get rid of it, but to let go of it. But he couldn't because there were so many bodies around. So I think, yeah, it was difficult. I think he got penalised for like holding onto the ball on the ground. Yeah, the commentator said it looked good initially, and it did. He got pretty unlucky there, I must say. That happens a lot in rugby, though. So James O'Connor's just keeping us in this game. The discipline of the Brumbies is letting them down. We've got another scrum here, and these fast players are going to get a go. Look at all this space. So they're going to try and use that, I'm guessing. Oh no, they're going to set a platform for the next wave of attack. So this guy's number 10. You can see he almost always gets the ball first because he's the decision maker. That's sort of his role. So let's see what he decides to do. Just, yeah, tries to duck through some stuff. Okay, so now the Reds have done something wrong here. What is it?
Nice and quick here. Trying to duck his way past Scott Young, and now penalty advantage for the Brumbies. Might have been a high tackle. A loose arm.
Offside.
He pulled out straight away, didn't
So they were offside. So I'll tell you about offside quickly now. So every time someone gets tackled and there's a breakdown and a ruck, this thing, people are competing. It's like the massive part of rugby. An imaginary line gets created between the last red person's feet. So this guy's feet here, there's an imaginary line, and basically just that. Just the last red person's feet. And all the red players have to be behind that until it's picked up or passed or thrown. Okay? So there's an imaginary line there every breakdown for the defense to get behind. And someone didn't get behind it. And it happened earlier than this because he's got his arm out already. It must have happened here. It must be off the screen. It's one of these guys. Didn't get behind that imaginary line. Still, I think that's pretty harsh. They look pretty good to me. Offside. See, that the ref goes like this, which is basically being like, there's an imaginary line, you didn't get behind it. That's what the signal represents.
he? Pulled out straight away, didn't he?
Oh, so it was number 11, so someone quite far off the screen. And we've got 16-12 to the Brumbies.
They won't get a better opportunity.
There's a scrum. Okay, so this was a really exciting part of the game. The game only goes for 80 minutes. So this is overtime right now. And the Brumbies are ahead. So the Reds are going to lose, but they're so close to the line. If they don't make a mistake, the game continues, which is what's happening. And they're so close. If the Reds make any mistake at all, if they drop it and it goes forward, if they give away, if they break the rules in any way, if when they're tackled they don't place the ball back and let go of it, all these rules, if they break any of them, the game's over. So a lot of discipline here. Oh! Okay, so the game could have been over then, but White broke the rules. And the game doesn't finish when White breaks the rules. Otherwise, if White was ahead, they'd just break the rules straight away and the game would be over. So White can't break the rules. The Reds are going to get another shot. Now, what was this penalty for, though? I think I should... I don't know. I don't know what they did wrong. So, guys, it's really hard to put highlights in rugby union because it's more of like a grind. There's less stoppages. It's like a long grind. There's a lot of changes in field position and just making the most of opportunities when they come. So it's hard to create a highlight reel that really captures the game. But yeah, it was a really great game. So now that the Reds are the Australian champions, they're the best in Australia, and they verse the best in New Zealand to see who the just bragging rights really. So guys, I hope you found that interesting, and I hope this video is a little bit more informative than other videos you've seen on Rugby Union. I think, yeah, I sort of explained the more finer details here, but really the essence of the game is that the breakdown, the competition for the ball, and then after that competition, picking up the ball and passing it backwards and trying to create space or perhaps a mismatch between a really good attacker and a bad defender. That's sort of the game, and not breaking the rules. Yeah. And obviously, because it's free-flowing, the defense is constantly trying to, every time someone gets tackled, they're trying to rearrange themselves, and the offense is constantly trying to figure out where the defense is weak, and they're running players around behind the scenes to try and capitalize on maybe where the defense hasn't organized themselves properly, or a mismatch between a really great player and someone that may be a great player but can't defend very well. So that's sort of the whole game. And there's a lot more detail in the breakdown, which I'd love to go into, but I think it's like, there was quite a lot I discussed there. But yeah, hope you guys liked that. And yeah, thanks. See ya.